The Witch's Bedtime Tale. The fascination of the eerie, weird, blood-chilling tales told by old Nancy, Witch of Salem, and Satan, her wise black cat. They are waiting for you now.
Look, Satan, it's that time again. We've got company, and I'm guessing they're hankering for a good bedtime story. The kind old Nancy tells best. Yes, sir, and once again, we're going to be the writings of Howard Phillips Lovecraft for tonight's tale. He wrote quite a few weird tales, and we've told you some, and we'll keep telling them. As long as you keep listening. Meow. You tell 'em, Satan. Turn your lights out and get comfy, for soon you'll hear the story called From Beyond. From Beyond. Meow.
Myles, I thought you said you were done with Crawford and his madness. Yet you're going over there?
I won't be long, Dorothy, my dear. I'm curious as to his mental condition, and also to see what great breakthrough he says he's made.
You told me the last time you two nearly came to blows. Do you think it's safe to go there?
I think so. Just to be sure, I'm taking my revolver. After all, love, I couldn't allow any harm to come to myself now that you've agreed to marry me. Oh, come here and embrace me.
Yes, dear.
Crawford had gone mad trying to figure out a way to prove his theories about alternate dimensions or some such thing. I told him he was wasting his time. He should be pursuing more productive ventures. He became incensed and flew into a rage. We almost came to blows, but I left, and I haven't heard from him in nearly 3 months. But now he's called, telling me that he's found it. I owe it to our lifelong friendship, I suppose, to check on him and see if he's all right. I'm also curious to see if he has discovered something, perhaps.
I trust you will keep yourself safe, and I too hope Crawford is well, mentally and physically. Come home safe, love.
I will, dear.
Myles. Oh, yes. Come in, please.
Crawford, is that you?
What? Oh, my appearance. Do I look different?
I'd say you look different. You've lost weight. Your hair is a mess. It's turning white. And you've grown a beard. It's also white. I've never seen you with facial hair. You look pale, unhealthy.
Ha! Small price to pay for all I've learned. I haven't been out very much, so that's why I'm pale. Work has kept me busy. Too busy to eat properly. Too busy to shave. As for my hair turning white, maybe I'm wise beyond my years, and it's just a physical symptom.
Where are the servants? I don't recall them ever not being here.
What do you need with them? I dismissed them. Just a distraction.
All your staff? You fired them all?
I kept a gardener, but what do I need a maid, a butler, and a driver for? Waste of resources, really. But come up here, to the laboratory up in the attic.
You have made some breakthrough in your work?
Yes, I said I had on the phone, didn't I? I told you I could show you proof. Evidence that I was right. I guess I shouldn't have got so upset with you last time you were here. You haven't the intellect needed to rationalize such things, to imagine how they work. They laughed at Galileo, they laughed at Newton, they laughed at anyone who thought differently, who could see things as they were.
Oh, is this as fantastic a leap in human understanding as the planets and their motions? More important than gravity and physics?
Yes, oh Myles, once you see, you will understand how big it is. It's a new reality which will affect humanity forever. Here, come into the lab, see for yourself.
What is this machine? What sort of light is it emitting?
I admit, without the scientific work of others, I'd never have been able to create such a machine. It's quite simple, really, but still it was my ideas, my vision which drove me onward. I had to learn a lifetime of information, but somehow I mostly learned what I needed. This device is emitting energy, a type which I think was once known to man, but at some ancient time was forgotten like so many other things.
I see no cords. Is it electric?
It creates electricity, so yes. But does it have a power supply? None. Not one that you'd understand. Sit here at the table. It will take a while, but you will soon see the effects the device has.
I am feeling odd. Sort of a tingling sensation.
Do not worry, it is normal, and safe as well. There are evolutionary genes which are shut off in all species, and in humans there is a sensory organ which exists but is dormant, one which some religions or cultures are aware of and try to focus on, but still they know nothing of it as I do. A sixth sense, far more powerful than the others. Within a short time, that machine near the table and the waves it generates will begin affecting you and your unrecognized sense organs that exist as atrophied or rudimentary vestiges. The waves will open up to you many vistas unknown to man, and several unknown to anything we consider organic life. We shall see that which a dog howls at in the dark, and that which cats prick up their ears at after midnight. We shall see these things, and other things which no breathing creature has yet seen. We shall overlap time, space, and dimensions, and without bodily motion peer to the bottom of creation.
When Tillinghast said these things, I remonstrated, for I knew him well enough to be frightened. I was unused to his change in appearance. He looked menacing, evil, twisted in the unnatural purple light of his machine.
Listen to me. The waves from that thing are waking 1,000 sleeping senses in you. Senses that we have inherited from eons of evolution, from the state of detached electrons to the state of organic humanity. I have seen truth, and I intend to show it to you, friend. Do you wonder how it will seem? I will tell you.
Here Tillinghast pulled himself directly opposite me, and stared hideously into my eyes. I sensed he had spent too much time already with his machine and its waves.
Your existing sense organs, ears first, I think, will pick up many of the impressions, for they are closely connected with the dormant organs. Then there will be others. You have heard of the pineal gland? I laugh at shallow endocrinologists who think it a minor organ. That gland is the great sense organ of organs. I have found out. It is like sight in the end, and transmits visual pictures to the brain. If you are normal, that is the way you ought to get most of it. I mean, get most of the evidence from beyond.
I looked around the immense attic room, with the sloping south wall, dimly lit by the purple rays of the strange machine. The far corners were all shadows, and the whole place took on a hazy unreality which obscured its nature and invited the imagination to symbolism and phantasm. During the interval that Crawford Tillinghast was silent, I fancied myself in some vast and incredible temple of long-dead gods, some vague edifice of innumerable black stone columns reaching up from a floor of damp slabs to a cloudy height beyond the range of my vision. The pictures were very vivid for a while, but gradually gave way to a more horrible conception, that of utter absolute solitude in infinite sightless, soundless space. There seemed to be a void, and nothing more. I felt a fear which prompted me to begin drawing the revolver from my pocket. Then, from the farthermost regions of remoteness, the sound softly glided into existence. It was infinitely faint, subtly vibrant, and unmistakably musical, but held a quality of surpassing wildness which made its impact feel like a delicate torture of my whole body. I felt sensations like those ones feel when accidentally scratching ground glass. Simultaneously there developed something like a cold drought, which apparently swept past me from the direction of the distant sound. As I waited breathlessly, I perceived that both sound and wind were increasing, the effect being to give me an odd notion of myself as tied to a pair of rails in the path of a gigantic approaching locomotive. I began to speak to Tillinghast, and as I did so, all the unusual impressions abruptly vanished. I saw only the man, the glowing machine, and the dim apartment. Tillinghast was grinning repulsively at the revolver, which I had almost unconsciously drawn, but from his expression I was sure he had seen and heard as much as I, if not a great deal more. What was that?
Don't move! For in these rays, these waves, this light, we are able to be seen as well as to see. I told you the servants were fired, but I didn't tell you how. It was that thick-witted housekeeper. She turned on the lights downstairs after I had warned her not to, and the wires picked up sympathetic vibrations. It must have been frightful. I could hear the screams up here in spite of all that I was seeing and hearing from another direction. And later, it was rather awful to find those empty heaps of clothes around the house. Mrs. Updike's clothes were close to the front hall switch. That's how I know she did it. It got them all. But so long as we don't move, we're fairly safe. Remember, we're dealing with a hideous world in which we are practically helpless. Keep still.
The combined shock of the revelation and of the abrupt command gave me a kind of paralysis, and in my terror my mind again opened to the impressions coming from what Tillinghast called beyond. I was now in a vortex of sound and motion, with confused pictures before my eyes. I saw the blurred outlines of the room, but from some point in space there seemed to be pouring a seething column of unrecognizable shapes or clouds, penetrating the solid roof at a point ahead and to the right of me. Then I glimpsed the temple-like effect again, but this time the pillars reached up into an aerial ocean of light, which sent down one blinding beam along the path of the cloudy column I had seen before. After that the scene was almost wholly kaleidoscopic, and in the jumble of sights, sounds, and unidentified sense impressions, I felt that I was about to dissolve or in some way lose the solid form. One definite flash I shall always remember. I seemed for an instant to behold a patch of strange night sky filled with shining, revolving spheres, and as it receded I saw that the glowing suns formed a constellation or galaxy of settled shape. this shape being the distorted face of Crawford Tillinghast. At another time, I felt the huge animate things brushing past me and occasionally walking or drifting through my supposedly solid body, and thought I saw Tillinghast look at them as though his better trained senses could catch them visually. I recalled what he had said of the pineal gland, and wondered what he saw with his preternatural eye, with his weeks or months' exposure to the waves from his machine. Suddenly I myself became possessed of a kind of augmented sight. Over and above the luminous and shadowy chaos arose a picture which, though vague, held the elements of consistency and permanence. It was indeed somewhat familiar, for the unusual part was superimposed upon the usual terrestrial scene, much as a cinema view may be thrown upon the painted curtain of a theatre. I saw the attic laboratory, the electrical machine, and the unsightly form of Tillinghast opposite me, but of all the space unoccupied by familiar material objects, not one particle was vacant. Indescribable shapes, both alive and otherwise, were mixed in disgusting disarray, and close to every known thing were whole worlds of alien, unknown entities. It likewise seemed that all of the known things entered into the composition of other unknown things, and vice versa. Foremost among the living objects were the great inky jellyfish monstrosities, which flabbily quivered in harmony with the vibrations from the machine. They were present in loathsome profusion, and I saw to my horror that they overlapped, that they were semi-fluid and capable of passing through one another and through what we know as solids. These things were never still, but seemed ever floating about with some malignant purpose. Sometimes they appeared to devour one another, the attacker launching itself at its victim and instantaneously obliterating the latter from sight. Shudderingly, I felt that I knew what had obliterated the unfortunate servants, and could not exclude the things from my mind as I strove to observe other properties of the newly visible world that lies unseen around us. But Tillinghast had been watching me.
You see them! You see them! You see the things that float and flop about you and through you every moment of your life. You see the creatures that form what men call the pure air, the blue sky, emptiness. Have I not succeeded in breaking down the barrier? Have I not shown you worlds that no other living man has seen?
I heard him scream through the horrible chaos, and looked at the wild face thrust so offensively close to mine. His eyes were pits of flame, and they glared at me with what I now saw was overwhelming hatred. The machine droned detestably.
You think those floundering things wiped out the servants? Fool, they are harmless, but the servants are gone, aren't they? You tried to stop me. You discouraged me when I needed every drop of encouragement I could get. You, my friend, you were afraid of the cosmic truth. You damned coward. But now I've got you. What swept up the servants? What made them scream so loud? Don't know, eh? You'll know soon enough. Look at me. Listen to what I say. Do you suppose there are really any such things as time and magnitude? Do you fancy there are such things as form or matter? I tell you, I have struck depths that your little brain can't fathom. I have seen beyond the bounds of infinity and drawn down demons from the stars. I have harnessed the shadows that stride from world to world to sow death and madness. Space belongs to me. Do you hear? Things are hunting me now. The things that devour and dissolve. But I know how to rule them. It is you they will get, as they got the servants. Stir and dear sir, I told you it was dangerous to move. I have saved you so far by telling you to keep still. Saved you to see more sights and to listen to me. If you had moved, they would have been you long ago. Don't worry, they won't hurt you. They didn't hurt the servant. It was seeing that made the bird devil scream so. My pets are not pretty, for they come out of places where aesthetic standards are very different. Disintegration is quite painless, I assure you. But I want you to see them. I almost saw them, but I knew how to stop. You are not curious. I always know you are no scientist. Trembling with anxiety to see the ultimate things I have discovered. Why don't you move then? Tired? Well, don't worry, my friend, for they are coming. Look, curse you, look. It's just over your left shoulder.
What remains to be told is very brief, and may be familiar to you from historical news accounts. The police heard a shot in the old Tillinghast house, and found us there, Tillinghast dead, and me unconscious. They arrested me because the revolver was in my hand, but released me a few hours later, after they found it was a heart attack which had finished Crawford Tillinghast, and saw that my shot had been directed at the noxious machine, which now lay hopelessly shattered on the laboratory floor. I did not tell very much of what I had seen, for I feared the coroner would be skeptical, but from the evasive outline I did give, the doctor told me that I had undoubtedly been hypnotized by the vindictive and homicidal madman. I wish I could believe that doctor. It would help my shaky nerves if I could dismiss what I now have to think of the air and the sky about and above me. I never feel alone or comfortable, and a hideous sense of pursuit sometimes comes chillingly on me when I am weary. What prevents me from believing the doctor is this one simple fact, that the police never found the bodies of those servants whom they say Crawford Tillinghast murdered. I knew they had been taken by the creatures from beyond.
Well, we've come to the end of tonight's tale from beyond. Are there things about us that we can't see, hear, or feel? Meow. You say there is, Satan? Meow. You're a wise old cat, so I'm not gonna argue with ya. I hope you listeners like tonight's tale, and join Satan and me again next time I has a birthday. Meow. Didn't I have a birthday today? Then I'll need to have one next time on the witch's bedtime tale. Meow. Nighty-night.
Tonight's tale, written by Howard Phillips Lovecraft, featuring Eliza Fenton and Kevin Rimney. The Witch's Bedtime Tale, copyright 2017, Kevin Rimney Productions.